we just got some confirmation about the next Legend of Zelda game, and honestly, it's looking really great. So the next Legend of Zelda game will be an open world, just like the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. And honestly, I think this is a great thing. Now, some of you might not like this because you like more of the linear dungeons, but it looks like we are going to be seeing an open world Legend of Zelda game with some additions with actual dungeons. So you can think about it like the Ocarina of Time dungeons, but mixed with Breath of the Wild. Now this is really interesting because I think that both of these games combined would make the best Legend of Zelda game possible. Because if you look at something like Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, that was the best game for exploration, allowing your curiosity get the best of you and go pretty much anywhere you want, exploring one way to the next way to the next way, getting weapons across your adventure. But when it came to doing dungeons, I don't think they were the greatest way to do dungeons. Some of them were just go and collect buttons and activate those things, and then you have a boss at the end. But now, for the next Legend of Zelda game, it looks like, by the looks of it, we are going to be seeing more traditional dungeons, and on top of that, we are going to be seeing something like Shrines from Breath of the Wild. But what I want to mention here is they are working on something to take some assets from Hyrule Warriors. Now this is really interesting as well, and it leads you to believe what could they add. I think those games are honestly really great, and there's a lot of things that those games do well. And one thing in particular is honestly the side quests. So the side quests honestly gives you some pretty great things, and they tell you to go in completely separate places. Now, Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom had some pretty good side quests as well, but it wasn't more like, go do the side quest, you get a super cool weapon that can help you enchant this mystical blade or something like that. It was more like, you do the side quest for me, I'll give you a banana. So yeah, make sure you do that side quest, because the banana, very helpful. But yeah, I think that the next Legend of Zelda game is going to be great. It is going to be, honestly, a masterpiece, just like any Legend of Zelda game. Now, if you're a little bit disappointed that the next Legend of Zelda game is not going to be a more linear Legend of Zelda game, kind of like Ocarina of Time, Twilight Princess 2, or something like that, well, don't worry, because, like, it's going to be a great one. You're going to love it. You're going to love the open world aspect because dungeons have a big chance of returning. This makes a lot of sense because if they're taking things from Hyrule Warriors, putting it inside of the next Legend of Zelda game, imagine how great these things could be. Honestly, the combat in Hyrule Warriors was pretty cool as well. Now I think combat inside of Breath of the Wild or what Tears of the Kingdom was more intuitive, like you were actually controlling the bow, because when I'm looking at Hyrule Warriors, I feel like the combat is more like for fast pace, but if you slowed it down a bit, you saw some pretty good combos and things that you can essentially do. Now, if you don't quite understand, it's just like, look at the combat from Age of Imprisonment or something like that. Slashing swords, spinning around, doing a whole bunch of pirouettes and stuff like that. And honestly, pretty much any guy had different moves that you can do. Like if you're using Sidon, if you're using Mifa, different combos, different attacks, and maybe this is something that they're going to take for the next Legend of Zelda game. So instead of just having one combo or one move that you can do, you go to the gym or something like that and you learn different moves. So if you wanted to take your Master Sword and instead of it just doing a 1/, 2/, maybe you can do like a 3/, like a poke, and then you can slash it and then you can make it do a beam or something like that. Is this what they mean by doing combos or different things from Hyrule Warriors? Because that would be really cool. And one great thing that Age of Calamity did was honestly the blacksmith, where you were able to like fuse weapons or merge them together and they would become different weapons. I thought that idea was definitely cool, so maybe this could be something that can be utilized in the next Legend of Zelda game, because if it's going to be an open world game, chances are we are going to be seeing durability return. Now, I think durability is fine because it forces you to use different weapons, but you can maybe pick up a, let's just say, a wooden sword, and then you get another wooden sword and you bring it to the blacksmith and you get a pokey wooden sword. That is also extra durability. Kind of be like the fuse, but sort of like in a blacksmith kind of way. Now, I don't believe the next Legend of Zelda game is going to fully utilize the sky like we saw in Tears of the Kingdom, but more keep it as a plain open environment. So you can think about it like let's just say we take Ocarina of Time, Twilight Princess, and maybe another game like Wind Waker. That's perfect. You take them all, you smash them all up, and you're like, you know what? This is what we got. And then you have Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom. Let's just say Breath of the Wild because it's more like the environment as the baseline. So you got all of these different things, all of these different mechanics. It would make for a really perfect Legend of Zelda game when you really think about it. And sometimes you just gotta wonder, what in the world is next? Are we going to be seeing pets that you can tame at some point, and you can get yourself a dog and use that dog to attack different enemies? Who knows? It's the Legend of Zelda. Anything can happen. Pretty much anything can happen. Are we going to be seeing a storyline kind of like A Link Between Worlds? Now, you definitely had a very interesting story there that you have to go and save people from paintings. Now, this would be great inside of an open world thing because then you go and collect different paintings and save people and go inside of different realms. Now, let's just say that the next Legend of Zelda game isn't going to be just Breath of the Wild again, but like a different environment, different world. Okay, so now let's just talk about what I think this next game is going to be. So we know it's open world. Got it. Now it's going to have linear dungeons. Now, how is this going to work with an open environment? So you got, let's just say 8 dungeons, 8 different dungeons that we can say that it opens up like the Legend of Zelda Link Between Worlds. If you do one dungeon, you do the next dungeon, or you can go from one dungeon to the next dungeon like it was like an open world. So you're not forced to go to this dungeon and then the grass dungeon and then whatever the case may be. You can go to different dungeons at a time. And to keep you from pretty much climbing all over the place and ruining the dungeon itself, you're going to get stripped from your powers, okay? So you're going to be just Link, but you can't climb or do anything unless the dungeon allows you to climb. So if you can climb, that would be really cool. If you can't climb, you're super heavy, or there could be a ton of different ways to do this. Maybe one dungeon is going to be completely underwater, and Link's adventure is going to be underwater. Imagine that. Turning the Legend of Zelda into some swimming simulator that you can actually dive beneath the sea and go into different dungeons. I think that would be really cool. Maybe you go and get a scuba mask and you can get more air, and hopefully this time around the dungeons will give you special unique weapons that don't break. So it feels like you're gaining your god powers or something like that. Maybe some of them give you the actual Triforce, and maybe that's what the Hyrule Warriors sort of taking inspiration from. Once you collect this Triforce, once you get every single piece, may that be broken up into 8 different pieces, may that just be the 3 pieces of the Triforce. You get the Triforce and you can actually use the Triforce. You can use it. You can use it to create things. You can use it to just have a bunch of power. You can use it for giving you wisdom for some reasons. You can just use the power of the Triforce. Now that would be really awesome, and I hope that this happens. There's a ton of different ways that the Legend of Zelda series can take its mark, but I think that this is honestly really special. Linear open dungeons inside of an open world with weapons that break or don't break. So the lesser known weapons will break, just like a iron sword, a wooden sword, a hammer, a stick, or whatever. All of that stuff would break. But then when you get into the more legendary weapons, something like a fire sword, that might not break, or maybe you can put aspect of fire. I'm not playing Minecraft here, but putting a fire sort of thing on your sword, maybe that doesn't break. Whatever it is, maybe we can get all of the legendary blades or something like that from past Legend of Zelda games, like the Sword of the Goddess. Maybe we can get different weapons like the Ocarina of Time itself. Now that would be really interesting, and I honestly wonder where this game is going to take place. So remember, it's going to be open world. That's going to be great. I'm really excited to see what Nintendo cooks up for the Legend of Zelda, because every single Legend of Zelda game is unique in its own way. Like Wind Waker, you were able to traverse the 7 seas on a little boat and control the wind. Twilight Princess, you had a more dark, spooky, scary thing that you turned into a wolf. Ocarina of Time, you can sort of reverse time in some way and ride on horseback. Yep, that was pretty much the gimmick in some way. But anyways, it's really exciting, and I can't wait. So anyways, what do you think about this? What do you think the next Legend of Zelda game is going to be? Do you think it's going to be something like this, or not at all? I was completely bogus. This was a baloney piece of episode of Legend of Zelda? Or, yeah, anyways, let me know how you think about all this. And thank you so much for watching. Consider hit the like button, maybe subscribing if you're new. And thank you so much for watching. I hope that you have an amazing holiday, an amazing Christmas, amazing whenever you're watching this video. Happy New Year. Anyways, see you in the next one.